Hello and welcome to Footnotes the Cicerone podcast, a podcast to inspire you about outdoor travel and activities in the UK and across the world. I'm Hannah and I hope you enjoy this episode. In this episode, I'm talking to Nikke and Jacint, authors of a new guidebook to walking in Catalonia. So we're talking today about your most recent book, To Hiking in Catalonia. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Right. This has been a very interesting project for us. We have been very fascinated with the area and we really wanted to do a nice guidebook for this place because it's very versatile and the scenery is very changeable. So the Barcelona province itself can be visited throughout the whole year. We've got 5 different areas around Barcelona city, which is obviously very easy to access from anywhere around Europe and other places as well. All our areas included in the guidebook is a little bit different from each other. So depending on what the walker wants, it can be changed. Or if someone prefers to stay in one particular area because they like it better, they can spend a whole week of holidays there, for example. But certainly it's an all-season walking destination and almost guaranteed that the person going there will find a place without snow. If they don't like snow walking, snowshoeing, things like that, they will find a place for themselves to have a nice hiking holiday with great food, of course.
Of course. So the book is divided into graded routes, isn't it? Which is a little bit different to a lot of Cicerone books. So what do the grades mean?
Yes, so we have 3 different gradings in our books because we would like to give an idea to the walker which one to choose. So there are some easy walks, what everyone can enjoy almost all year round. Those are shorter walks or very, very easy terrain. There's a grade 2, which might be a bit longer or more difficult, or there might be some route finding difficulties, and grade 3, which is probably longer walks or more difficult terrain, or there are some route finding difficulties. Route finding difficulties in Catalonia can be because of the great number of trails. So some areas, for example, in the Montseny, there are lots of tracks and some of them are not waymarked. But as you walk, you can see like lots of it and they're all crisscrossing the slopes. And so that can make it a bit more difficult to find your right route. But the waymarking system is quite good. So most of the walks are trying to follow waymarked routes, or at least partially. We also included 3+, but I think we only used it with 1 walk or 2. That means a very, very easy scrambling section. We find the scrambling section in the Montseny by accident because we took the wrong turn. and it became Jacint's favorite route to reach
Les Agudes.
Yeah.
So that's the second highest mountain in the Montseny. Turó is the first one and Les Agudes is the second, only a few meters lower than the highest one.
There's definitely something for everybody in the book.
Yes, I think so.
There's a selection of nice easy walks and then slightly more difficult, but nothing too challenging.
I think with the gradings, we have to tell the walkers that the routes are compared to each other. So they are not compared to walks in other countries or other areas. So an easy walk in Catalonia, it only means easy walk in Catalonia, and it doesn't mean it would be difficult in England or somewhere else. So, for example, walk 2 in our Turó de Muro is an easy walk in our book because it's relatively short and it's really easy to find a way. Lots of people walk it and the views are amazing and you can do it in the morning. So you don't have to have the whole day. A more challenging one, for example, in the Penedès area, which was a surprise because most of the walks are quite easy there. But we came across with one very long walk. I think it was 28 kilometers and it took us all day to walk it. And the terrain wasn't difficult. It was quite easy, but it was just very long.
So what can people expect when they go walking in Catalonia? Because obviously people know Barcelona for lots of different things, but mainly the city tours. So what's the walking like? What's the scenery like and the terrain?
So I think the good thing about Catalonia near Barcelona that the scenery is very different, depend on where you go. So the Montseny is very forested, very lush. You can see running streams all year round, and it's a lot cooler than the coast or Barcelona. So lots of people leave Barcelona as a day trip and they just go to the mountains when it's really, really hot in the summer. And then we have Montserrat with the rugged rock formations. And again, lots of people visit the area because of the monastery. But if you go a bit further, you can enjoy some amazing rock formations, and you don't have to be a rock climber. You can just walk and enjoy the scenery. We have Sant Llorençe Natural Park, where you can enjoy views all the way to the Montseny and to Montserrat, and on a clear day, all the way to the Pyrenees. So the views are just amazing. It's less wooded than the Montseny, so you can see really far away if it's a clear day. And the Penedès and the Garraf, they are again very, very different. The Penedès is famous from wine. So there are lots of vineyards. You can stop and buy some nice wine on the routes or one of the little villages. And the Vic area is again very different to the others. And Vic is a relatively bigger town in the area, so you can stay there. There's a lot to do. And the walks in that area, they are quite short compared to the others, but very scenic.
Are they all day walks, or are there any overnight walks?
So in this book, all the walks are day walks.
But there is, however, the longest walk, which is 28 kilometers. So probably not everyone would want to do that 28 kilometer all at once. However, it's a big circular route.
Yeah.
It's a historical route. It is visiting 3 castles of the area. You can shorten the walks if you want to. So there is an option. There's lots of dirt tracks and paths as well. So there is an option to make it shorter for someone who doesn't want to do all 28 kilometers to do on that day and just return on another day to visit the other areas.
I think the rest of the walks are all under 20 kilometers.
Yes.
So I would call them day walks. Yeah. And most of them are circular. So you can get back to your base on the same day.
Yeah. Where would you recommend people stayed if they were going to do some walks on this book?
Well, depends which area they want to visit most, but you can base yourself in kind of in between and then have a day walk in the Montseny one day and then a day walk in the Montserrat the other day, or you can spend the entire week in one area and explore all the trails in that one area. So I would say for the Montseny, there is Montseny village itself, and you can stay in Vic, Sant Jeroni.
And probably I would say Werstroh, which is a small town. It's not the easiest to get around without public transport, with public transport. So it is quite an advantage to have a hired car to get around. There are buses and it is possible, but to have a car makes it a lot easier to get to walks and from walks back to bases.
Especially in the Montseny, because they have some really good car parks, but basically in the middle of nowhere, so in the forest. And there are some buses from Sant Jeroni and maybe Vic, but maybe you have a bus in the morning and then a bus in the afternoon. So you really have to plan your walks around that bus timetable if you want to use public transport.
And those buses, mainly from spring till late autumn. So in the winter time, there might be less buses around, less public transport in the mountains.
Okay, I was going to ask that actually. When's the best time to go? You like it really, really hot, but for normal people.
Yeah, I was going to say for us, anytime, because I don't mind being hot and sweaty. But for other people, mainly I think probably the spring months and autumn months are really nice as well. You get more rainy days in the autumn and in the winter. But summer can be good as well if you don't mind the hot weather. And as we mentioned it earlier, the Montseny is a lot cooler than the other areas because of the trees and the mountains. It's always about 8 degrees cooler than the coast. So it can be an option. You can get some really hot days there, but you will see walkers all year round.
At least you are definitely protected from the sun, especially on the northern slopes of the Montseny range. On the southern slopes, you've got slightly different vegetation as well. It's more Mediterranean. You get all the holm oaks, and on the northern side, you get the nice beech forests. It makes it a lot cooler there. So unless you get a big heat wave, what we got last August there, it should be really, really nice there on a nice sunny day as well.
Are there any nice little places to swim if you're halfway along a walk and you get too hot? Is it a possibility?
I would say, well, in the Montseny, not really, but in the Vic area, there might be an option for that in the Sau reservoir, which is very popular. I remember that there is an area where you can go in and swim, and also you can hire paddle boards, kayaks, to get around on the reservoir. There's also partially submerged church, because when that valley got flooded, only the tower of the church is visible from the walk. Nothing else.
Which walk is that?
So you can see the reservoir on walk 13 and walk 15. But the trail itself doesn't go too close to the reservoir, though. So
no, but you can easily see it.
It would be another trip. Yeah, you can see it. But so for swimming, I think the answer is not really, because the rivers, they're more like streams, so they are very small streams or rivers in the mountains, so they are not for swimming.
Yeah, okay.
You can probably walk in to cool down a little bit, but not not proper swimming.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it would be like in the Lake District in the UK where you've got the lakes everywhere, so you could have a little swim, or is it just mountain trails?
Maybe one place in the Penedès region, Walk 31, is the Foa River Gorge or Foish River Gorge, depending on pronunciation. We have seen small rock pools. It would be possible to cool down there. I think locals definitely go there to do that in the height of summer.
What's the scenery like then?
So it's very changeable. So the Montseny area, we already talked about it, so it's very forest, it's very different. The views are amazing from every single different area. The Vic area is the Guilleries-Savassona Natural Park. That you get lots of wooded areas, lots of forest, and lots of high cliffs, vertical cliffs. It's just very stunning. Actually, on the front cover of the book is that area with those cliffs of Tavert, they are called. The Sant Llorençe Natural Park, another area, it's more drier. The vegetation is lower, lots of holm oak trees. Montserrat, similar vegetation, but very rocky, huge rock formations. I think many people have seen pictures about the Montserrat Natural Park with its wonderful monastery. It's very dramatic. It's really dramatic views. And then the Penedès, it's relatively flat. However, there are some nice drops into gorges and lots of history, the vineyard, the castles. And then finally the Garraf. It's just by the coast. So actually, getting back to the swimming bit, so when you're in the Garraf, there would be a chance to go down to the sea, just have a little detour. So Garraf is a different rock as well. So it's limestone. So you got lots of caves and cavities. So it kind of, you need to take a lot of care. Most of the caves are marked, so you won't fall into them. Many of them are just a hole on the ground, just among the vegetation. If you're not careful and you leave the path, you could easily fall into one of those. So it's very important to follow the trail, stick to the path.
Yeah.
That would be very uncomfortable going down one of those.
Did you go in any of the caves as part of your explorations?
No, not on our last trip. There's a cave, Cova Simagna, in the Sant Llorençe Natural Park. It's a couple of years ago when we first did the trails, when we started the research, because we started the research many years ago. Cova Simagna was free to go in, so everyone could just wander in, and it was actually quite big, and you could walk around
400 meters. You could go around and return. It's like a circular cave, pretty much.
Yeah, so with a torch, we could just walk around. But last summer when we were there, it was closed down for the public because
there were some historical excavations, archaeological excavations.
So at the moment, you can only go in with a guide like once or twice a week. So you have to organize that as a trip. So they've changed that. There's a trail from Colbato to the Montserrat Monastery, and there are some caves in Colbato. Because of COVID, last year you had to rebook the visit to the caves. So when we were actually there, we couldn't go in because we didn't have a booking.
How annoying.
Actually, that trail, we just find it it was a surprise trail because that was on our last day. And we just wanted to do a little walk, a short walk, maybe visit the caves. And we find this amazing trail, and it made it into the book because we just liked it so much. And it was actually a better trail to reach the monastery than the other one. Well, it's a different one. It's a very interesting one, but we didn't have time for the caves because of the pre-booking.
So how many walks are actually in the book?
32. We wanted to do more.
Yeah, we had 38 walks collected at the end, but we had to cut out a few of them. This was a very hard decision.
So 32
walks officially, yes.
You must have walked so many more than that to get the knowledge that you've got for writing the book.
Yes, we did. We started the research maybe 2 years before the pandemic, and then we had to stop. So many of the trails we had to revoke because like 4 years passed since we first walked the trails. And then as we went back, we found new trails and more interesting trails and different trails, and we just couldn't stop. So yeah.
And then of course we got a lot of support from the Catalan Tourist Board, and Itinerania is coming up now. But from the Catalan Tourist Board, we got lots of extra information, suggestions. So they were extremely helpful.
Yeah, so they suggested some trails what we didn't think of before. So that was really good, especially in the Penedès and the Garraf. So they highlighted some trails for us to explore. And we are very grateful because there are some amazing trails there, what we didn't know about before. So, yeah.
How popular is this sort of walking in Spain? For the Spanish people, I mean.
The mountains are always full of locals, Catalans, Spanish, actually lots of French people as well coming through the border for walks as well and holidays. Many of the families leaving the busy city life behind for the weekends and spending those days in campsites, and just after a little peaceful time, go out to the mountains, do their family walks, have a barbecue in the evening. So yeah, it can get quite busy, I have to say.
I think there are some popular trails where you can find people any time of the day and any time of the year. But there were some trails when we didn't see that many people. So I think you can find some quiet trails if you don't want to be in the crowd. But it is a bit tricky in the Montserrat, but we managed to do that. We find a walk where we didn't meet anyone else. So yeah, I think it's possible in each area to find a trail where you don't see that many people, but there are some popular trails in each area where there are lots of them, especially at the weekends. So weekdays are always quieter.
Yes.
So if you want to have less people in the mountains, you have to go during the week, not during the holidays.
Oh yeah.
Did you stumble across any fantastic festivals whilst you were there?
Yes.
That was actually in the Penedès area, in Vilafranca, the town of Vilafranca, the main town of the Penedès area. They have this annual event when they create huge human castles, huge towers on the main square, just in front of the mayor's office, basically. There's a competition between small teams. Usually, I think it used to be different villages competing for the highest human tower they could build. Usually the kids, obviously, they are the lightest one. They are on the top of the tower. This was a very colorful event, and we just bumped into this whole celebration by accident.
I think the good thing about that was that we just went into town, because that was end of last August. That was our last day. And because of the COVID restrictions, we had to go to the airport to get our COVID test because traveling back. So we couldn't walk on that day because we didn't have enough time. So we thought we might just go and see that town. And we just walked around the streets, and there were lots of people. There were so many people everywhere. And it turned out because that they had this big festival, and so we got to see it, and it was really good. Yeah.
But we did that.
Yeah.
You're so small, Nikki. Did anyone try and pick you up and throw you onto the top?
No, they didn't, because I think I was lucky because of the restrictions. The area where they were building the human towers, it was fenced off, so we couldn't get too close to the towers. And but I had to stand on a bench, otherwise I couldn't see anything.
I bet if they'd seen you coming, they would have been like, "We're having her go on the top."
Imagine that.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Maybe we go back. And I volunteer.
Ooh, bring your helmet.
And did anything else happen whilst you were out there that was funny or unusual? Or
I think the most eventful day was in the Sant Llorençe Natural Park. One morning we were driving on the quiet roads, and we have an orange camper van, so it's it's quite bright. Everyone can see it from miles away,
even from the moon.
And there were no other cars. It wasn't very early, but it was early in the morning, around 9 o'clock, and we were stopped by the police. And they checked our passports and papers, but the main reason they stopped us because they wanted to see our van. And there were no other cars to stop, so they were probably quite bored. And on that very same day, we climbed Montcau, which is
the second highest in the Sant Llorençe Natural Park.
And it was during the week, so there weren't many other walkers. But on the top, we met a couple, and the man, he was quite funny, and he was just telling us lots of stories, and he was so happy to see us that he got a small bottle of cava out of his bag, and he wanted to share it with us. And we told him that was so you have to know that Montcau is like, it can be reached really easily from one of the car parks. So it's basically a short walk. And I think they were coming from that car park. Mm-hmm. They were heading somewhere else, but I was thinking if they're going to open a bottle of cava on each hill, then they're going to be really drunk by the end. But I told him that we didn't want any. I think it was around 12 o'clock. And we were already stopped by the police once on that day. So we thought maybe it wasn't the best idea, so we didn't drink with them. But we took some photos for them, so they were happy.
No wonder you enjoy hiking in Barcelona so much.
We didn't drink the cava.
No. That sounds nice, though.
Yeah, and Jacint kept telling the man that I could drink with him because I wasn't driving, and I was like, no, thank you.
It was too early.
It was too early.
She was still after coffee rather than cava.
Are there still people living in the monastery at Montserrat?
Yes. So the monks are still
around
there.
70, I think.
But I don't know, it's not very peaceful for them because the amount of tourists visiting the monastery is just huge. Of course, during the pandemic years, the numbers have dropped, but I'm pretty sure by now it's back to normal levels. It's extremely busy.
Yeah, so I think last August there were less people there, definitely, because we've been there previously and there were always lots of people, but last year there were a lot less.
Well, I suppose the beauty of this region is that you can fly into Barcelona for really, really cheap.
Yes.
So it's probably quite a nice, quick weekend of sunny walking in the mountains, it sounds pretty perfect.
Yes.
Absolutely. And of course you've got city of Girona as well, but there's an airport there as well, so that's a second option. And of course trains are really good in Spain and in Catalonia, so it's easy to get from one point to the other, especially along the coastline. But to get to Montserrat, you've got a very fast train as well, coming out from the biggest railway station in Barcelona as well. And for example, getting to Vic, another bigger town, that's a quick way to get to as well, by train, as well as driving. It's not bad at all.
We mentioned it before that some of the trails might be a bit too difficult to reach by public transport, but hiring a car is not very expensive. Wasn't in the past few years. So it could be still a cheap option if you hire a car for a few days just to explore the area, because it's a lot faster and you have more time for walks.
And accommodation-wise, although we were using campsites mainly, I know that not everyone is into camping that much, but to be honest, many of the campsites, they do little cottages, mobile homes, so like a one-bedroom apartment kind of things. And they're pretty good, actually. We stayed in one of those as well. It's worth a go, especially in a busier time of the year where most of the accommodations are overbooked in the towns. It's worth having a look in one of these campsites as well for one of these bungalows, cottages, apartments. I'm not sure how to call them. They're different sizes as well. Additionally, the rural accommodations, casa rurals, they are very popular, and you get to see and get to stay, of course, in a quieter area, explore the area apart from the Costa Brava where most people go to. So we wanted to, with this book, we try to draw people away from the Costa Brava a little bit inland to discover the real Catalonia. And staying in one of these casa rurals, I think it's a really good idea as well.
What was your favourite bit overall then?
Personally, you know the answer to this, Hannah. I enjoyed every single moment of this project, but I do have my favourite area. It's the Montseny. I can't explain why, but I felt very, very relaxed there, and there are less people in the Montseny generally, I think, or at least when we were there. Every single area has something to give, which I love. That's why I can't really decide or choose about an area which is my favorite. I don't know about Nikki.
Yeah, I really like the Montseny, but also the Montserrat, because it's so unique with all those rock formations. But I think my favorite walk, it's always a surprising one. So the one I mentioned from Corbato, because we didn't plan that walk, we just find it, and I think it's always very different when you just find a walk and it's so interesting or different than the others that you end up including it in the book.
Yeah, surprise walks are always
surprise good. Walks are always really good.
We had that in Cyprus as well.
Yeah, and but I couldn't choose one. No,
I always have to ask. I know you're never going to like it, but I always have to ask what your favourite is. But there's a really nice picture. I think it's walk 2. There's a really nice picture of you, Nico, sitting on a rock looking at the view. And that it makes me want to be there. It looks so nice.
Yeah, I remember when we took that photo, I spent quite some time sitting there, and see, that's walk 2. So that's an easy walk, but you get views like that. So that's why we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite walk is walk number 5 to Les Agudes with the little scramble, or optional scramble. You can avoid it if you want to.
Right.
But that became one of my favorites, definitely.
I think also because that was one of the first walks we did many years ago when we first visited the Montseny. Yeah. So I think the first walks are always a bit more special than the others, because that's how you get to know the area, and the last walks as well, because by that time you know the area quite well. I think we have to mention the Sant Llorençe Natural Park, because many of the walks you can enjoy walks towards the Montseny and to the Montserrat as well, and I think it's just a really good place to walk.
Yeah, I feel like I've been on a bit of a journey with you for this book, because I remember trying to get you to talk to people that I knew from the Catalunya Tourist Board and feeling quite excited about this book. And that was ages ago. So getting it actually written and printed and landing it's really exciting.
Yes, I think you are definitely part of this book. So yes.
Without having done a single walk or taken a single photograph, I'm going to take...
Well, I hope you will. You will try some of the walks.
Yeah, I do really want to. I've got family in Barcelona, and I've been on a couple of walks in the Montseny, but it's, with 4 small children, it's not really been a priority. But as the kids get older, hopefully do a bit more exploring.
We saw lots of kids on the trails, so I think it's definitely some of them are definitely suitable for kids.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Kids are really resilient as well. I mean, they go for it. They see a mountain, they run up.
Yeah, true. So when is the guidebook publishing?
So the book is coming out in November, mid-November, I think, or beginning of November. We're really looking forward to it and to hold it in our hands. It is always very special when the first copy arrives and we get to leaf through the pages. Cannot wait.
I kind of hope that this podcast really expresses to people how much work and how much passion goes into these books, because it'll arrive and it's a smallish book and you think 32 walks, but it is years worth of love and walking and exploring and getting lost and going the wrong way, and so much that goes into them.
I mean, it would have been ready years ago, but we had to stop the research for more than a year. I think I can't even remember now when we started, but yeah. So that's why we know the Montseny really well, because we went back I don't know how many times to revoke the walks just to make sure that they were still there as we remembered.
Thank you for talking to me about Catalonia. I'm excited for people to get out there and explore this area, and hopefully they'll let us know what they think.
No, thank you very much.
All right, take care both of you, and I will speak to you soon.
Yeah, take care, Hannah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed the latest episode of Footnotes, the Cicerone podcast. I'd love to know what you think, or if there's anything you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Please email live@cicerone.co.uk or leave a review on your podcast platform. You can follow or subscribe to the podcast to make sure you don't miss new episodes, or you can sign up to our newsletter for all our latest news, events and guidebooks. Visit cicerone.co.uk for further details. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, come and find us on our social channels. We're on all the main ones as @Cicerone Press, and we also have a Facebook group, Cicerone Connect, where you can meet and chat to other outdoor enthusiasts. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you soon.